Good evening, and welcome to the music of the night, sort of. So, unfortunately, we had a episode that did not record audio. I do apologize.
Rip my computer. Not Karnis's this time, mine.
Yes, for once this was not my fault. Unfortunately, we missed audio on episode 10. As such, myself and KC will be coming to do a sort of wrap-up of the things that happened and the goings-on therein. So, as usual, I'm your storyteller, Karnis. With me today is a solitary kcStranger.
Not really playing Petra, just, hi, I'm KC.
Last time, as you will remember, the group decided to go out, deal with a handful of things that needed to be dealt with, amongst which were Maya needed to go and talk to a detective. She went, spoke with the detective one every time. This happens every time. Detective Lisa Mendez. It was a sort of a short interaction. Not much came of it. She spoke well, represented herself well, and unfortunately did not have a lot to offer the detective. However, she did learn a few things. She learned that somebody had ransacked the Kashmir Cricket looking for something. Now, at the very opening of the session, the group determined what all the various Horcruxes, or anchors, for those of us who speak the World of Darkness lingo,
as opposed to forcing everything into Harry Potter.
For Melina. They discovered that the painting was indeed one of her anchors, as well as the crosses that sat in the sanctuary of Kurt's church. Along with that, they learned that perhaps one of certain 30 pieces of silver, as well as she had some chains that she wore about the neck, various holy symbols and whatnot. Those were discovered and followed down an English line until the mid-1900s, about 1939, 1940-ish, when World War II hit, and they were melted down to sort of conserve wealth. It was discovered that those were probably melted down into some sort of goblets. As well, there was probably a flog, as Melina belonged to a group that believed in self-flagellation. And there's something else. What am I forgetting?
The person?
No, other than that. Isn't there another?
I thought you just mentioned 5.
Okay, yeah. The last piece was a probable living relative. I can't count, apparently, which is probably not unnecessarily to say. Anyways, so with that information, they had moved out. Petra had taken these crosses from the sanctuary and had them melted down with salt to destroy the anchor. And with the confirmation of Detective Mendez, they believed that they needed to move to the cricket next. After the meeting with the detective, the group decided to call, that Petra should call Officer Wayne Johnson. No D.
Not actually The Rock.
And Wayne the Stone Johnson. And sorry. And that she should use her influence, if you will, to get him to allow them into the cricket. She called, had a very awkward conversation.
Oh, come on.
And Casey did very well. It was awkward on my part.
Aw. Cute.
Not really. I fucked that man. Anyways, Uh, yeah, I mean, if it was my thing, but it's not. So, anyways, yeah. So Petra succeeded, and they went off to get her ready for her interview. Trying to think if. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I went way back, didn't I?
Yeah, you
This
did.
is a recap. This is a recap. That's about what happened.
This is
so,
like if anyone here has ever watched shonen anime, this is where 12 minutes into the episode, you're like, "Dear God, why has the new stuff not started yet?"
I do apologize. I got really, really into recapping the old episode. So that's about what happened previously. This time on
Well,
Music of the
okay,
Night.
let me catch them all the way back up. We went to the cricket. We destroyed that Horcrux. Then we
Nope,
went
that is the
to
new one.
then we
That's the
went
new
to
episode.
that lady's house. What was the lady's name?
Linda. Linda.
We went to Linda's house and we found the goblet Horcruxes, but one of them got nabbed from us.
Nope, it was not Linda. It was Anne. Anne Haysworth.
We went to Anne's house. Fuck Linda. And got the goblet Horcruxes, but one of them got lifted from us.
That was all a part of that same episode, wasn't it?
We had a little rendezvous with the criminal element of Crackrin. And
Damien, right.
Yep, Damien. And we pick up here as we're driving away from that interaction, deciding whether or not we should melt down the goblet that we had.
Hot shit, I rewinded way too far. Okay.
Yeah, like 3 episodes, but it's cool.
Yeah, Jesus. Wow. Okay, I do apologize for showing the hell out of you guys. Anyways, so as they're approaching the Brown funeral's home, they decide to pull off and get rid of the single goblet that they have, which they do. As with the other anchors, they feel sort of a pulse of power as it is destroyed. By the way, I 100% thought that we were recapping episode 9 and not episode 10, and I think that's why I was so far behind. Anyways, yeah, after destroying the goblet, the group continues on down to the Browns' funeral home. Upon arrival, they are met by a youngish man, maybe like mid-30s. Did you take down his name? I don't remember his name.
I think it's James.
I think it was.
Yep, it's James. Man, I just straight remembered that. I'm proud of myself. Okay, so Karnis just blacked out. So I'm just going to continue so that we don't waste this video. So yeah, Karen and Petra walked into Brown's funeral home and basically started chatting this fellow James up. While, went into his office, pretended that, a relative had died, started asking about various funerary rituals, what could this establishment do. Eventually, he even called in his mother, Hilda, for backup. Had them tied up for a very long time. It was, in fact, a dramatic success for Karen on that point. In the meantime, while the proprietors of the home were distracted, the rest of the party sneaked in and started taking a look around. For the most part, they just saw normal funeral home stuff. So, a room with caskets on display, with flowers, a few chapels. In the back, though, there was what was basically a prep room for bodies. And Obadiah and Toby went in there and found a large cooler, and also hooks and racks like they'd see in a meat locker. Obadiah kind of got a weird feeling from the place. So they met up with Luca and Maya and, took a closer inspection. Obadiah actually then leaned against the table in the room and found that as it slid, it revealed some steps that led to the downstairs. Investigating that, they found a giant room, maybe half the size of the building, with more tables and refrigerated units with organs and blood bags and things like that. They gathered it was actually a black market organ operation. However, did not find a Horcrux / anchor, in the room, which was the original purpose. So they went back, decided to take one last look around the building. And as they were doing so, um, Maya actually looked into a chapel and something caught her eye. There was a hand broom on the wall, but as she looked at it more closely, she realized it didn't quite look right for a hand broom. Rather than bristles, it had strips of leather. And so Luca snatched that, thinking it to be the flog that the party was looking for. Now, as the party was on their way to destroy the flog, a couple things happened. First, Petra got a call from Boris saying that, as a matter of fact, although they had discovered a few things, first of all, cementing the idea that the last anchor was indeed a person. Second of all, actually finishing translating the spell that Petra had discovered in a book she got from a church a while back, and that was sent to Petra's cell phone. He also said, rather disconcertingly, that Anna had been swiped from under them while they weren't paying attention. So that was discussed. Also, Maya got a call from Anna's phone. A voice on the other end said that Anna was okay for now, that who the identity of the person was fucking not important, and said, I have something you need, you have something I need. You know where the Wellman house is? Midnight. And make sure you bring all the anchors that you have. After that, there was a long discussion about the merits of whether or not the party should just destroy the flog anyway. The fact that they knew they were pretty obviously walking into a trap of some kind if they went to the Wellman house. But with Maya, in the end of it, very ardently putting her foot down and saying that she was going to do everything that she could to try to save Anna. Petra ultimately siding with Maya. Obadiah just sort of saying burn it. But Karen, as tempers ran high, got out of the car and took a short walk into the woods. And there she ran into Titharis, where she discussed with him her feelings of concern about how she ever got involved in this mess, and generally her concern about the entire thing, that there were people and things she cared about, but she obviously had to be alive in order to realize those things. So, some more things were said with Titharis. He gave her some advice about perhaps trying to mislead their opponents. He gave her some reassurance and said that although it was a bad season for him, he would do the best he could.
Yes.
Oh, you're back?
I'm back-ish.
Okay. Should I go ahead and just continue wrapping up? Or do you want to
Go ahead.
Okay.
No, continue.
Okay. So at that point, Titharis gave Karen a kiss, spun her around, and pushed her towards the car. And the rest of the group drove to the church because going to Petra's, the spell that was translated for Petra, it read as follows. And the angel Gabriel, full of light and song, doth answer to this earnest servant. Hear my call and accept my sacrifice. Your vessel is ready. And along with that was the knowledge that the spell took 2 ingredients, incense and blessed silver. So Petra suggested going to the church to acquire those things. At the church, or excuse me, about halfway to the church, on the expressway, Maya suddenly got a feeling, a throbbing, went to the church, picked up those ingredients, and then we're driving back to Dark Tower Games to bunker up and discuss the next move. Do you want to, oh, actually, I'm almost done.
Sure, I can continue.
Okay.
Maya experienced sort of a throbbing in her temples, which she closed her eyes and sort of focused on to essentially sort of just like push a headache away. As she did this, she realized that she was hearing the voice of a young girl, repeating sort of panicked phrases to herself, and eventually realized, and so did the other voice, that this was indeed Anna. Anna and Maya had a short conversation, Anna telling Maya that she was stuck in a basement, until Anna began to realize that she was speaking to Maya with her mind, at which point their connection was severed.
And that's where session 10 ended.
Yep. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Anywho,
So,
go ahead.
Anyways, I do apologize, folks, that we did not meet our typical standards of full session, but this was a pretty good wrap-up, including even the standard Karnis crash in the middle of it. So, dear Mother of God, I swear I'm about to do a hard reset on my computer.
And
Thank you, and have a wonderful evening.
Exactly that.